Пацаны-то они сладкие! Ха-ха! Чё заткнулся, блядь? Страшно, да? Твою, а ну иди сюда!
Hello and welcome to my 8th weapon guide for Escape from Tarkov. My name is Freakatoid, and today we'll be going over the PP-91 and its many variants. These weapons were widely used in the early game during previous wipes, but could actually surface as one of the best budget weapons with the new armor changes introduced in patch 14. Without further ado, let's get started. The PP-91 is actually a generalization for 3 different weapons. These weapons are nicknamed the Keter, Keter B, and Clint. And while they do look exactly the same, there are some subtle differences. Think of the Keter as the base version of the PP-91 in this scenario. The difference with the Keter B is obvious. It has a suppressor attached that cannot go on any other version, while also missing out on the opportunity to use the rail mount the other versions of the PP-91 can use, meaning it cannot equip a tactical vise or a sight. Because of its suppressor and the majority of ammo being subsonic, the Keter B is an extremely low-profile weapon, which we'll see later in the video. The Clin is a different beast. It has a jacked-up fire rate in comparison to the other variants. It also has a special ammo in the 9x18 caliber that only it can use that I will also cover in this video. With the differences explained, let's go over the stats. The first order of business is Ergo and Weight. The Keter and Clin share the same stats in this department, with an Ergo of 68 and a weight of 1.529 kilograms. The Keter B ends up being a little heavier and slower with its suppressor attached, having a base Ergo of 52 and a weight of 1.729 kilograms. Overall, these are some seriously featherweight weapons that will absolutely not slow you down. Very useful as a secondary weapon if you are looking for something to help you in a bad situation that isn't cumbersome. Recoil and rate of Wait, Recoil? You came here to see Recoil? On these weapons? Recoil can be a little bouncy on the PP-91, but the ranges in which you should be using it shouldn't be hindered at all. The Keter B technically has less recoil than its other variants, but your ideal range doesn't change because of this. Nor will you have any more problems with the unsuppressed versions by comparison. The base Keter and Clin both share a recoil of 50 vertical and 211 horizontal, while the Keter B has a recoil of 42 vertical and 177 horizontal. Regardless of which one you use, the first 5 rounds or so that you fire will see a sharp lack of horizontal recoil before it starts going all over the place. The rate of fire is nuts on these weapons, with the Keter and Keter B sharing 900 RPM, while the Clin takes it further with 1000 RPM. You will very quickly mag dump with this weapon, as the biggest magazines are 30 rounders. Accuracy is not this weapon's strong point by any means, with the Keter and Clin having an MOA of 8.59 and a bullet velocity of 284 meters per second. The Keter B isn't that much more impressive with an MOA of 6.88 and a bullet velocity of 288 meters per second. You really aren't going to notice any difference with the variants listed here, because it really all depends on if you use a specific ammo type. Keep these guns at close range, preferably within 50 meters, or you will suffer from the bullet velocity. The Keter and Keter B are available to all players from Prepper the moment they first load into Tarkov, and if I'm being completely honest, it's not a bad weapon to go with. Both the weapon and ammo are incredibly cheap, so you can fire away without worrying about spending too much money on refilling or replacing. The Clin comes at a little later after you complete BP Depot, which is a little bit down the quest line, and depending on how you like using these weapons, will make the difference between if you switch or not. Okay, so first things first. You can't do anything with the Keter B. But Freak, you could switch to I'm not talking about the mags! You can't even take off the suppressor, so this is a whole package and cannot be personalized. The Keter and the Clin actually do have a mount that goes on the barrel of the gun, which allows you to put on some of the micro dots in the game along with the compact tactical devices. It's not much, but you'd be surprised how much it can actually help. Okay, so the gun is cheap and widely available. They decided to keep it all simple. So the ammo should be simple as well, right? Right?
Dear God.
Is the first thought that I had when I saw this ammo chart. But to be honest with you, there's an incredibly simple way to figure out everything in this chart. And that's by getting rid of a majority of it. There are only 5 rounds on this entire list that you should remember, and I'll go over them now. First up is Leg Meta Central, also known as SP7 and SP8. The damage on these rounds is extremely high, with SP7 rocking 77 flesh damage and SP8 rocking 67 flesh damage. The armor pen is pretty much non-existent, which means you should be aiming for unarmored areas. Legs. You will drop everything incredibly quickly if you stay with this tactic. But it also means you will more than likely have to get the drop on your target unless you aggressively rush them to the point where you fully expose them. If they go behind any form of cover, it's best not to challenge that fight with this ammo. That job belongs to PM PBM and PM BZHT ammo, which provide more penetration power. I have to set a disclaimer that this ammo will really only penetrate soft armor, and you will have to shoot your targets a lot to see results. PMM PSTM ammo is another type of 9x18, which has a really nice balance of damage and penetration power in the 9x18 category. The problem with this ammo is that it's incompatible with the Keter and the Keter B. Only the Clin can actually use this round, so be extra careful not to fill your mags with this round unless you are 100% sure you have the right weapon in your hand. Now what about all the rest of those bullets? Keep them out, and if you do use them, consider it all as low pen, medium flesh damage rounds. If you don't see SP7, SP8, PBM, PSTM, or BZHT, consider them all the exact same thing and do not attempt to fight armor with it. But Freak, I swear by PMRGO28... No, stop. No, you don't. Being subsonic, I expected that the sounds these weapons made was going to be hard to detect at longer ranges. This only proved true for the Keter B, however, which made me realize why most people would be frustrated when using this gun, as you can pick up the sound quite far away. So far away that anybody with a longer ranged weapon or scope will see a Keter user as being completely helpless. Here's what I found. Go. I'm sorry, are you shooting right now? I don't hear a thing. Alright, close your eyes for a bit and imagine this scene. You are having a rough patch on Tarkov, and I'm talking rough. You have no gear in your stash, nothing you want to sell or nothing to sell. You have about 50k rubles to your name, and your scav is on cooldown because a player killed you on Streets of Tarkov as soon as you spawned in. What can you do? Well, you could drop 21k rubles on a Keter, another 3k on some 20 rounders for your pockets, and about another 5.3k rubles on 70 rounds of SP8, or even some other 9x18 round. You haven't even spent all your money. and yet now you have a comfortable 2 to 3 kills on scavs and a good kill or 2 on players. The best feature of this weapon is the fact that it embraces the hardcore nature of Tarkov. It can spray, it can kill, and you can do it for pretty much nothing. It's a getting back on your feet weapon, and it gives you the confidence to load into a raid, pick yourself up by grabbing a little bit of scav gear, loose loot, and get out to give you a better footing on your next raid. Or you die with it, and the worst outcome is that your scav is now up to try again. Unfortunately, this weapon has secured itself as a low-tier weapon among the community. Anything that I can do... What? Anything that it can do, something else in the game can do it better. Admittedly, I didn't even know what the difference was between any of these ammo types when I was making this video, because I had never even wanted to use these weapons. To give you a little insight, I wanted to ask other players what their thoughts were. Here's what I got from them.
You think the Keter is a viable weapon? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the most controllable beginning weapon you could ever use. Why? Because you can control it really well. It's CQB, so you can fold it and it doesn't change the recoil at all, by the way, in case you didn't know. You can fold it and literally run with it and it'll run like he's running with a pistol in his hand. And it doesn't affect the recoil at all.
I haven't tried it this wipe, but I do feel the Keter is a viable weapon, especially when using SP7. If you're someone that aims for the legs, the Keter is definitely a viable weapon.
The Keter is a viable weapon. I'd say yeah. Legman is a very viable option. Will it always work? No. You kind of have to play a little slower, more conservative. I'd say yeah. You have to. It's used in a specific scenario where you're specifically going for leg meta with SP8. Can't really be super aggressive with it because it can get you killed. Really have to hit legs, and if they're only exposing upper body, it's tough.
The Keter is a viable weapon. In the right hands, it's an amazing weapon. It's a great weapon for new players because of the low recoil, especially with the suppressor. You throw the suppressor on it, it's a fun little SMG, man. Puts in work. I know people that literally that's like their favorite gun. Like the Keter is their vibe. It's their jam. It's their bread and booter.
Anytime soon? No. I only use it whenever it's beginning of wipe. Or I use it to f around. Ammunition, just as wipe goes farther, you just isn't the greatest. You got the RGO 28, which has armor piercing, or SP7 or something for flesh, for SP8.
Will you be using the Keter anytime soon? Honestly, I usually use it for my kills on factory up in the office area. That's when I pull out the Keter. Anytime after that, probably not, freak. If I were to use an SMG, I prefer the MP7.
If I were to use an SMG at this point, I'd probably be using like MP7. Vector is super slept on. The 45 and the 9mm, they kill you before you even hear the bullets coming at you.
Me personally, probably not. I'm not much of an SMG enjoyer. I've never really been an SMG guy. When it comes to like guns like that, I prefer the MP5 personally.
Now it's time for the final judgment on the PP-91. Since they really should be used in the same ways and the differences are pretty minor, I'm going to group them all together into one package. The PP-91 is one of the first weapons you have access to upon your journey into Tarkov. It's cheap, very easy to use, the ammo is aplenty, and the recoil isn't that bad either. Its main downside is its armor penetration ability. It simply should not be used against any particularly heavy armored target. Getting around the armor is where this weapon shines, and with the recent changes to how armor hitboxes work, its higher pen ammo became just a little more viable when aiming for center mass. Overall, it's one of those weapons that's meant to only take on one target at a time, as you will need every bullet in those mags to reliably take down one of them. As an early game weapon, the Keter really fills a nice spot for somebody who's more interested in flinging as many bullets at the target as possible, and can really net you some pretty good kills, even in the late game. Just be careful not to get a bad reputation. I hope you enjoyed the video, and perhaps learned something new. Be sure to subscribe.